I'm ready.
Had a pretty good PvP to kind of warm up the day, but now it is time for the nitty-gritty TVZ. And what better map to start on than Shattered Temple?
I could not agree more, and I cannot wait to see how Bratok plays here. He was so impressive against Dima yesterday, and if he can beat Sin, he's going to elevate himself to like a position of, oh my God, you're so incredibly good, Bratok. Why don't you play at all these tournaments?
Yeah, and this is going to be one of those matches where it is going to be tough for Bratok, but I have a feeling he's going to bring his best game. So we are going to make sure to make lots of noise for these players spawning down in the bottom center side. If you like Zerg, if you like his awesome intro song, or if you like still being alive, make some noise for Sen.
And Sin's opponent up at the top of the map. The red Terran player, the Russian assassin, it is Bratok.
And we are going to be having those cross-spawn positions, and you know what that means, Mr. Bitter. A chance for an epic macro game.
Yeah, I hope so. Cross-spawn Shattered Temple can be a little bit troublesome for Terran players. It is so hard to make that long push across that very, very wide open center. Gives plenty of time for Zerg players to set up flanks and to just crash into you from all sides with the Lings and Banelings and Roaches and Mutas and Infestors and Ultras and Broodlords and drones.
Drones? What game was that? There was a game where drones were terrifying. It was like drones versus Thors.
That was from Demaga versus Bratok yesterday.
Yeah, man.
On dual side.
Bratok does have to watch out for those drones. They are apparently the good unit to get versus the Thor. Now, we do have the barracks. Going to be going down here to complete this wall, and this is something that a lot of Terran players have been doing for quite a while now. They kind of strayed away from it for a little bit, but then they realized, you know what, Zerglings in my mineral line at any stage of the game is no fun.
Nobody likes to have a Zergling in their base. It is, it's very frustrating.
Absolutely. Now, we are going to be seeing Hatchery first here. And is this a surprise to you at all, or is this kind of pretty safe play from Sin?
This is par for the course for any Zerg player. It's almost universally we see Hatch first against Terran these days. Zergs have learned how to deal with the early barracks aggression by just pulling a few drones. So I would have been more surprised if we saw anything other than a Hatch first.
Yeah, and it's a situation where earlier in the stages of StarCraft, players would make too many Zerglings to try and hold it off, and then the Zerg players started to realize, well, if I just make additional drones, I can still afford to lose one or two and have a slight economic edge. So that's why the spawning pool can easily be delayed there. Going to be having the gas go down after that as well, and then basically we're just going to be seeing what is Bratok going to follow this up with. Right now we do see that he does have his refinery down, so are we looking at some sort of tech here?
Probably just going to want to get some... Well, yes, about Bratok. Yeah, we're going to see some sort of Hellion opening. And I was looking in Sin's base where we see this gas down as well. Probably just going to see some sort of speedling play. But Sin, as we discussed in our pregame show, has a bit of a reputation as being a guy that likes to make some roaches. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him drop a roach horn at some point in the game and to use those very hardy armored units through the mid-game to just give more staying power to his army.
Yeah, and coupled with that, we saw him in the Protoss matchup yesterday, basically just powering roaches no matter what stage of the game it was in, but he also has some pretty crazy versus Terran timings with those roaches, especially versus the Hellions. It's a pretty efficient way of holding that off. You just have to make sure to be able to secure your natural, because you can pretty safely wall off your the ramp right here to prevent those Hellions from getting inside your actual main. The Spine Crawler going to be going down right there. That is going to be pretty standard in dealing with these Hellions. Going to be landing it there, and I feel like we're seeing about as standard of a game as you can get between these two.
Yeah, this is a situation that we've seen countless times before. Husky Hellion expand open. Well, there's no command center down yet, but I really well, there's a tech lab on that barracks in a second. This could actually be some sort of Marauder Hellion play. Scratching my chin.
Maybe going to try and take Sin by surprise, overwhelm him with those units. Is one Spine Crawler going to be enough? It is positioned in an area that the Hellions really can't get by it without getting hit. Although, is he going to move it? Yep, just sneaking it up there a little bit further. That's going to help guard his ramp slightly better as it's a little bit more towards the left side. Going to be able to cover that, and a Queen on the ramp can also prevent the Hellions from getting in there. We do see the Hellions moving out now. They have split up. Looks like they're just trying to spot any Zerglings or anything like that. And they may try and poke down here, but there's not a lot they can do versus a Spine Crawler.
No, and if we look back into Bradok's main base, we can see, yes, he's got two barracks, both with tech labs. STEM being researched on one of them, and I suspect concussive shells will start on the, he might just get nose concussive and just make Marauders. This is a sort of a Marauder Hellion play. We can see that Sin's throwing down that Roach Horn, so Bratok might be metagaming a little bit. He knows that Sin has that reputation for liking his Roaches. Marauder Hellion is really, really good against Roaches, obviously, because the Marauders are just so strong against the army units. But look at this excellent Overlord Scout by Sin. Sees the 2 barracks with the tech labs, knows exactly what's up, even seen a couple of those Marauders. One guy knows how important that was.
Yes. That is huge. I mean, the timing of this Overlord Scout at between the 6 and 8 minute mark, he did it right at 7, and that was the perfect time to scout. Not only did he see the barracks with the tech labs on there, but to basically usher out any kind of questions that he may have, actually seeing the Marauder spawn there is going to tell him everything that's going on. So this is indeed going to be a timing attack here from Bratok, but it has been scouted well in advance, and I think that Sin was very wise not only to make more Spine Crawlers, but to make a lot of Zerglings as well. And this is going to be one tough defense to crack here.
Yeah, the extra spines are going to be instrumental in keeping Bratok out. Bratok, after allowing himself to be scouted, says, all right, I better throw down an expansion just so I can transition at some point. Sin sitting on 36 drones to 25 SCVs. He's going to be very, very pleased with this situation. He just has to make sure he survives. And look at what Bradok's doing. This is actually super smart. Going to go take out these rocks in the back, opening up another entrance. Spine crawlers are static defense. They can't, I mean, they can reposition themselves, sort of, but they're not like a Roach or a Zergling. So if Bratok can get another angle, he might could make this attack work, but in fact he is just going to back off here, saying, all right, you know what, Sin's too prepared. I'm just going to go home and macro up and prepare for phase 2.
Now he did force, of course, those Roaches, so that is going to be slightly less drones, 35, but Sin is going to be doing a huge wave of drones, 11 at a time here, just trying to make up for a little bit of lost time, but we mentioned Sin's timing with his Roaches. Not surprised to see him actually pushing out with these, and then the huge swell of Zerglings to follow it up. Not sure if Bratok has seen exactly how many Zerglings there are here, but this could be a pretty close battle, as he needs to make sure to keep these Hellions alive in this engagement.
Okay, so Sin is just going to go for it here. Lings are going to get a pretty good surround on these Hellions. No, nice micro there by Bratok, managing to keep most of these units away from the big surround. And now all the Roaches of Sin are going to fall down, and Bradok's going to be able to push across the center of the map, take quite a bit of map control.
Yeah, unfortunately for Bratok, his concussive shells just finished like a second ago, so he wasn't able to grab too many of those Roaches as they were retreating, but now 2 of the Roaches are completely out of position over here, and Bratok pushing out, not stopping in the center, but instead moving forward. These Spine Crawlers, they are gonna get burrowed in time, just barely. Sin taking a bit of a risk there to secure a little bit more of the map and also force these units into even more of a choke so that they can't run by those Spine Crawlers. Don't want the Hellions being harassing there. The expansion for Bratok is up and running now. But at this point, I think that both players had some pretty interesting openings, but neither player suffered major losses, so we are going to be transitioning into the mid-game.
Yes, we will get a nice, smooth transition into the mid-game. Bratok realizing he doesn't have any medevacs out, so he's going to have to bring that Bioforce back. Probably going to be throwing down a starport. Is that a starport building right there? Yes, it is. So medevac production will be picking up very, very shortly. Sin's economy is looking great. He's on 60 drones right now. A little bit of a skirmish happening there in the center of the map. Hellions just trying to take that Zelnaga tower back. But economically, Sin's looking beautiful, man. 60 workers to 34 SCVs. That is a huge difference. Bratok going to push out once again with this Bioforce. I don't see him cracking the front, though. 3 Spine Crawlers and a lot of Zergling Roach. That's not something you really want to attack into.
I think he's going to need to rely on drop harassment, especially on the expansion on the bottom right side. I mean, given the rocks are destroyed, so it's not a completely safe area to drop, but probably the safest out of all the locations he'll be able to find. He is going to go for it here a little bit, but some of his units are split up here. He's deciding just to attack with a couple of his Marines. These are the ones who drew the short straws as they have to attack, but one Baneling here right there, and another Baneling, but the Marauder doesn't care because he is pretty good, but it does look like Baneling's trying to roll out. They are still on creep. He needs to get off the creep. He does get a nice split there by Bratok. Pretty clutch, to be completely honest, but the attack is going to continue here.
Really excellent micro by Bratok. Beautiful control on these units, but quite frankly, there's just way too much stuff there for Sin, who shows us a beautiful defense. And I question Bradok's choice to do that, to force that fight, because now he's basically lost his army. And, I mean, he's just got a few Marines and a couple of medevacs back in his natural. Sin has so much freedom now to do anything he wants. He could tech, he could go straight to Hive, he could throw down that Spire, he could just add a bunch of drones, and adding drones is what it looks like he wants to do. He's up to 70 Harvesters now. I would not be at all surprised to see him taking a 3rd base, or a 4th base.
Now, we may be seeing a transition to more standard Marine tank out of Bratok. He did land this factory here, hasn't started any tank or the upgrade yet. that will be an option for him. However, it is going to be severely delayed. I mean, you were mentioning kind of forcing that battle has set him back quite a great deal, not only in the army count, but also in the options that he has. And it does look like he's going to go for these rocks right here. This will just open up a alternate route for his Hellions to begin harassing, should it come down to that. And the medevacs are here to save a lot of these Marines. But if these units get surrounded, this is going to kind of remind me of the Titanic, Mr. Bitter, where only so many people can fit in these medevacs.
Oh my gosh.
We've all seen that movie. That joke is okay.
I thought it was going to be a joke about surrounds. I'm like, was the Titanic surrounded by icebergs?
Yeah, man, the Titanic was like an Ultralist just getting attacked by icebergs. But regardless, enough Titanic jokes, as the destructible rocks here are going to be going down at the high yield. And there is a drop now moving out on the left side. These ones are fully loaded.
Yeah, 16 Marines unloading there in the main base of Sin. In the meantime, Sin is trying to deal with these units out in front of his natural. So that drop.
Oh, that was the one guy. Oh, what? He's still alive. But no, he does get taken out. But the focus of the battle right now is going to be in the main base. He does get the Baneling Nest. Can he save the Marines? Every single Marine hops up inside there. And they are going to evacuate, either maybe even unload behind the mineral line. This would be a wonderful spot. At the same time, there's going to be a drop at the right side as well. Bratok trying to do everything he can to get back in this game.
Oh, but he's not paying attention to the units behind that mineral line in the main, losing a medevac and a few Marines there. Another drop down here in the natural. Bratok is everywhere at once. Multi-pronged drops really making Sin work here, showing how difficult it can be to defend drop play when you don't have things like mutas out. We see Sin making a couple of corruptors that will finally give him an answer to these medevacs, but he's taking a ton of damage, Husky.
Yeah, the drones do get back to work. A lot of Zerglings go down. Are these Marines actually going to die? Oh, it does look like they're finally going to get cleaned up. Another medevac here. Corruptors clean that one up, and the drop harassment is now over, but he was literally trying to do 3 drops at once. Wasn't enough damage, though, because there's still 77 drones for Sin.
Yeah, still a lot of drones. He did pick off a couple of tech structures. Baneling Nest was sniped off. Sin immediately replacing it, so Sin's tech is, at this point, completely unimpaired. He's getting Hive, he's got the Roach Horn, he's got the Spawning Pool, he's got the Infestation Pit, he's got the Baneling Nest, he's got the Spire. The only tech structure Sin does not have right now is a Hydralisk Den, and I think he should make it just for kicks.
Yeah, man, Hydras are always a silly unit in TVZ. You almost never see them. But he is going to be able to secure that 4th base. This is one good thing on this map for Zerg, is defending this high yield expansion can be relatively easy, but it does look like Bratok going to be doing the exact same thing, going for that one. If he can drop a couple of mules there, that will be huge. It has been scouted by Sin. And this Hive tech, do you have any predictions? It looks like he's going to be going for Broodlords here.
Certainly it'll be Broodlords with these Corruptors already out on the map. Otherwise, they're going to be just wasted. I guess they're okay at defending drops, but quite frankly, they're slow, and they shoot slow, and they're just not the best unit for hunting down these medevacs.
So many mules being dropped down here. I'm almost afraid to open up that income tab. 3,000 resources per minute there. And also a drop inside the main. Those corruptors could be used to lock down this drop once again. Are they going to get the shots off? Yes, the angle was not that great, even using the ability to make the medevac take additional damage. And goodbye, Marines.
Excellent defense there by Sin, making sure that drop does minimal amounts of damage. Bratok at about 140 supply is pushing out into the center of the map, and I'm not sure I like this choice because Sin is maxed out, Husky, and look at this big glob of blue stuff on the minimap.
That is a lot of Zerglings.
Banelings, Corruptors, Infestors. Oh my.
There is no way this army is not going to get completely overran right now. And I think he even saw all these units, so Sin just has to wait to realize that these units are here and can engage at really any angle he wants. Here he goes. He's going to go for it. And it does look like the units are spread out fairly well.
Nice control by Bratok, but there's just way too much. Every single unit dies. Bratok, why in the world would you push out with so few units? Getting crushed. Sin just smashing through that army of Bratok.
That was a huge wave of Zerg units. Now, he did knock down the supply by about 50, but unfortunately for Bratok, I think this is freeing up supply for the influx of Broodlords that are about to get here. The Greater Spire just now finishing, and the Broodlords should be morphing any moment, as well as 19 drones on the way.
Yeah, influx of drones, Husky. That's going to take Sin all the way up to almost 90 drones. The Broodlords, they're morphing somewhere. Where are those Broodlords? I'm looking. There they are. Right outside the 4th base.
Where are they? There they are right there.
There they are.
Chilling out. Trying to convince Bratok that, no, we're Overseer cocoons, I promise. But indeed they are not. He does have a couple more Corruptors on the field, even an Ultra Den going down. And he just likes to keep all of his tech structures right here to be scanned. So Bratok can go, oh.
Oh, he has everything.
Oh, everything but the Hydra Den. So He does have that right there, and this is not looking good for Bratok.
Indeed, Bratok only has 2 Vikings out on the map right now, and they are, well, they're making their way back over towards the main army. Look at the single Roach. He's just been chilling out the whole game.
Oh yeah, I think that's the original Roach, man. That's the OG Roach. Gonna get taken out by the new kids, though, and they do clean that up. And that frees up 2 supply for him to spend on whatever he wants.
1 more Broodlord, perhaps?
But yeah, we do have Corruptors on the way. The Ultra Cavern nearly completed, and he is up to 5 bases now. He's starting to stockpile those minerals. Kind of in classic late game TVZ, you'll see Zergs get just a huge influx of resources. That's exactly what he's doing. He's got to poke up here with these 3 Broodlords. It really doesn't matter if he loses these or not. It just looks like he's trying to bait out Braddock's army. But really doesn't matter where Sin engages here because Bratok has no stronghold.
Yeah, Bratok manages to walk underneath an Overlord, and Sin's like, ah, there you are. And now here we go. One more time. Sin coming in from every angle. Tanks are going to melt. Marines just disintegrating. And Braddock's army, there used to be a Terran army there. Husky.
Yeah, believe it or not, this one medevac is just terrified at witnessing the entire army dying. And just to add insult to injury, I mean, Sin is using like fungal growths in those engagements, even transfusing that spine crawler, refusing to lose anything whatsoever. We do have a couple of Broodlords in the center, which can get taken out, and the Thor being able to shoot those down, but Sin avenging the death there is going to get a huge surround with these Zerglings as well. Once again, completely maxed out here, 6 Infestors on the way. And really, it's just been Bratok ever since that first engagement where he pushed out and got held off. I mean, he's been trying to play catch-up ever since.
Absolutely. Trying and not quite succeeding. 190 supply for Sin, only 90 for Bratok. We see the gold base getting ravaged. There's Zerglings up at the top left-hand expansion as well. So I do feel like this game is reaching its conclusion. There's the
Good
GG.
game.